Welcome back to Kleppers Corner, where we peel back the layers of history like it's an onion grown on radioactive soil. Every slice makes you cry, but also glows a little. Today's date, November 2nd, a day that manages to host both a spiritual family reunion with the dead and the launch party for humanity's first long-term Airbnb in orbit, because apparently the universe couldn't decide between haunted house and science fair. On November 2nd, people light candles for their ancestors. Politicians sign world-changing documents, and astronauts float around wondering if anyone remembered to bring the tortillas. If the only day in history where a grandma's ghost and a government coup might show up to the same dinner table, and somehow she's the one with better table manners. So buckle up. We're jumping from cemeteries to the cosmos, from sugar skulls to polling fails, and from Queen Marie Antoinette to an internet worm that ate the early web like it was free cake at the Teapot Dome Bakery. Segment 1, the 67-word letter that changed the world, the Balfour Declaration. November 2nd, 1917. British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour sends a polite little note to Baron Rothschild. 67 words. That's it. 67 words that basically said, "We view with favor a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. Also, no offense to the folks already living there." It was diplomacy written like an iTunes terms of service. One group got a home, the other got a vague promise of civil rights. That's like saying, "Congratulations, you get a mansion," and telling the people already inside, "Don't worry, we'll keep the curtains nice for you." Britain at the time was fighting World War I and collecting secret agreements like Pokemon cards. They promised the Arabs independence. They'd promised the French some land. And now they promised the Jewish people a homeland. It's like they were running a historical Kickstarter with too many tiers and not enough rewards. This 67-word memo went on to redraw the map, spark a century-long conflict, and still holds the record for most passive-aggressive letter to change the Middle East. Moral of the story? Never trust an empire that measures sincerity in word count. Segment 2, the upset of the century. Truman defeats Dewey, 1948. Jump to 1948. It's election day. America's pollsters have spoken, and boy, were they wrong. Every major newspaper, every pundit, every smug dinner guest said Governor Thomas Dewey was destined to crush that blunt, unrefined Missouri man, Harry Truman. The Chicago Tribune even printed the headline before the votes were counted: "Dewey defeats Truman." That's right, they went to press early thanks to a printer's strike, slow photo engraving, and a fatal case of overconfidence. Imagine hitting send all on your resignation email and then realizing you'd just been promoted. When Truman actually won, he boarded his train, held up that infamous headline, and basically said, "Read it and weep, nerds." Pollsters were so embarrassed, they started putting warning labels on their bar charts. Past performance does not guarantee electoral victory. The 1948 election taught America two things. Never underestimate the guy the media calls a nincompoop. Always check the returns before you print 150,000 copies of your mistake. To this day, that photograph is every journalist's recurring nightmare. And if you listen closely, you can still hear Gallup whispering, "It was just a margin of error." Segment 3, the day humanity moved in. ISS Expedition 1, 2000. Now we blast off. Literally. November 2nd, 2000. Humanity gets a new address. Expedition 1 docks with the International Space Station. Commander Bill Shepard, U.S., and two Russian cosmonauts, Yuri Gidzenko and Sergei Krikalev, float through the hatch and officially start our species' permanent sleepover in space. They name the station Alpha, which sounds noble until you realize every sequel since then has been Beta, Gamma, oops, we forgot the toilet filter. For 136 days, those three guys built the plumbing, unpacked the boxes, installed life support, and made sure Earth didn't forget to pay the utility bill. It's been continuously occupied ever since. Over 2 decades without a single day of silence. That's right. Even during pandemics, politics, and Elon Musk's Twitter phase, someone's been up there circling us, proving humans can cooperate as long as there's no Wi-Fi and only one bathroom. The ISS became proof that when you stick Americans and Russians together 250 miles up, The only thing they fight over is who gets the window seat. Segment 4, the living and the dead, Dia de los Muertos and All Souls Day. Back on Earth, November 2nd isn't just about geopolitics and rocket science. It's a date with the departed. In Mexico, it's Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, a celebration so vivid and joyful that even death shows up for the party wearing glitter. Families build ofrendas, altars with marigolds, photos, candles, and pan de muerto. They lay out food for the spirits because nothing brings Grandpa back from the afterlife like the smell of mole and tequila. It's not a spooky holiday, it's a family reunion where half the guests are transparent and still somehow on time. Meanwhile, in churches around the world, it's All Souls Day, the Christian version of checking in on everyone stuck in purgatory. It's somber, reflective, and a lot less colorful, unless you count the purple vestments. The faithful pray for souls undergoing final purification, which sounds like the spiritual equivalent of a car wash. Where Dia de los Muertos says, let's eat with our ancestors, All Souls Day says, let's help them finish their paperwork. Both beautiful in their own way. Both reminders that humans are the only species who throw parties for people who can't RSVP. Segment 5, Presidents, Queens, and Laureates, the November 2nd Birthday Club. November 2nd is like a cosmic open mic night for leaders and legends. It's the birthday of James K. Polk, the only president who treated his campaign promises like a to-do list. He vowed to serve one term, expand the nation, and leave. He did it all in 4 years and retired like a man who just finished an exhausting group project called Manifest Destiny. Then there's Warren G. Harding, the man who won a landslide by promising a return to normalcy, which turned out to mean return to kickbacks. If Polk was the guy who got stuff done, Harding was the guy who got caught after the stuff was missing. Add Marie Antoinette, born 1755, whose PR team really should have workshopped that whole let them eat cake thing. Though in fairness, she never actually said it. But once you're the symbol of aristocratic decadence, nobody cares about footnotes. And George Bernard Shaw, who died on this day in 1950. A playwright so sharp, he won a Nobel Prize and an Oscar. He's the only man to turn philosophy and sarcasm into matching trophies. Basically, he was the Klepper of the 19th century, minus the ring light. Segment 6, Governance, Conflict, and Technology, when history hit refresh. November 2nd keeps handing out new versions of civilization like an overeager software update. 1795, France installs the Directory, 5 guys trying to run a revolutionary government. Because when one dictator doesn't work, clearly the answer is 5. 1889, North and South Dakota joined the Union at the same time. They were so competitive that President Benjamin Harrison shuffled the papers so no one could tell which was admitted first. To this day, the Dakotas are basically the country's identical twins, arguing over who gets shotgun. 1988, the Morris worm launches online chaos and shuts down 10% of the entire internet. That's right. In a single day, a college kid invented Cyber Monday accidentally. It was our first digital plague, proof that even computers can catch a cold from college students. November 2nd even gave us the Tigray peace agreement in 2022, ending a brutal civil war in Ethiopia. So, on a date that gave birth to the Balfour Declaration, the universe finally said, okay, how about one for the peace column? Colorful American political-styled cartoon of a split Earth. One half filled with graves, marigolds, and candles. The other half with rockets, newspapers, and polling charts. As Jordan Kleppers shrugs between past and future. In conclusion, so what does November 2nd teach us? That humanity is a bundle of contradictions, with good intentions and bad timing. We write tiny letters that change the Middle East, print headlines before elections are over, build floating laboratories to escape our own mess, and still find time to bake sugar skulls for our ancestors. It's a day that reminds us progress and remembrance aren't opposites, they're dance partners. One steps forward while the other keeps the beat of where we came from. So tonight, light a candle for the past, raise a toast to the future, and maybe fact-check your polls before you publish them. Because on November 2nd, the living, the dead, and the undecided are all watching.